Hey guys, the dialogue here. And we are looking at Chris Watts' mother, Cindy Watts. Now, this woman is an interesting specimen, I'll tell you that. Let's have a look at her body language in regard to who she is and what I believe that she thought about Shanann Watts.
Old, up until he was 17. And he was in basketball, he was in baseball, he was in football, and loved sports. He loved sports. And he was a good kid.
Right, he was a good kid. And what I see up here, we've got a little bit of disgust up here in the nose. Now, that doesn't mean to say that she thinks her son is disgusting. I think what she's thinking is he was a good kid considering what's happened.
Had two best friends, and that's who he grew up with, and still are friends with them today. And there's nothing that would have predicted any of this could have ever happened. Nothing.
So, I mean, congruent to a degree. Nothing. And she's shaking her head with that.
In his childhood, at all. I would have never in a million years thought something like this could happen to him at all.
And that's holding back information.
I see things like him getting into fights. Or...
No fighting.
And fear up here, guys. So that means when that's contracted, that's fear. So she's going through a little bit of fear.
He was quiet, and he got along with people.
Okay, so I'm finding a little bit of disgust that comes in her nose. Just interesting. Maybe that's just how she rolls normally, is what I'm picking up. Is that she's quite sensitive. She's easily disgusted by whoever's around her, including Shanann.
And he didn't start anything. And he was a perfect teenager, tell you the truth. He did not even rebel. He wanted to go to NASCAR TAC. We made that possible for him.
So what I'm picking up is that he probably was quite a normal child and kid and teenager. So there's no majors with that. Let's move on to something more interesting.
When and where did he meet Shanann?
They met, and he liked her, she liked him, but...
That face tells me quite a lot. It's sad on the ends. There's also a bit of disgust here.
It didn't, I don't think it was love at first sight or anything.
And that would be congruent with what she's saying, that she doesn't believe that there was no love at first sight from her son.
They took a little while and I guess got to know each other and, dated. It was always a little...
Disgust. There's a lot coming up here.
A little strange that she always said a lot of...
Right there. Massive disgust.
Things about Chris in front of me that...
Okay, congruent.
I didn't like. Like, this isn't the kind of person I would date.
Again, disgust up here.
He doesn't know how to do this, or he doesn't know how to do that. He looks like a skater boy.
There's obviously a lot of resentment with Cindy Watts in regard to Shanann and this alleged way that she approached Chris Watts. This is problematic from the mother's point of view. If you were in the relationship you were Shanann, it would be hard work working with this mother because you will never be good enough for her boy.
Look at his hair. Look how much stuff he puts on his hair. It was...
Okay, so we've got contempt coming in here.
Just on and on and on, and I just got a bad feeling.
Got a bad feeling. I mean, it's congruent, holding back information. So there's more than just a bad feeling.
And they got married in 2012. Did they get married in North Carolina?
They did. Mm-hmm.
Now that tongue comes through the mouth, she's displeased.
How was that?
We didn't attend.
Really?
Mm-mm. We didn't attend because Shanann and I just couldn't get along. And I didn't...
A lot of disgust.
Like the way she treated him.
What do you know about
And it's continuous.
their marriage and their issues?
Oh, very little. Very little. You can only observe. I can only observe what I saw when I was around.
So I can't say for sure, obviously, and no one can unless you're in the relationship or if you know the couple, if she did put him down continuously. I have looked at a lot of videos with Shanann, with her and her family, sometimes Chris, and I don't see her putting him down, but, at times she's asking him to do things, but it doesn't seem overly controlling.
And then Christopher always seemed anxious, and when she needed something, he would run. He wouldn't walk, he would run, he would get it. He just...
Is there, I'm just thinking here, a little bit of jealousy coming in from the mum to Shanann, that Shanann's now got the control over her son?
Always seemed to be right there at her beck and call.
Right, that's a pout. So she's not happy about that. Big pout.
And did that seem odd to you? Or...
Very odd. It was very odd. He just seemed nervous.
So how much did you see them over these last 6 years?
Probably twice a year. We would go
Not happy. Pout plus disgust.
up there.
Did you stay with them? Or?
Yeah, we would stay with them. And stay a week and then come back home.
Tell me about Bella and Celeste.
Oh, Bella was...
Okay, so Cindy's completely changing her demeanour. Cindy is now happy. Cindy's face is now uplifted. It hasn't drooped like it was just before.
Just like Chris. Just like him.
She even looks younger when she's happy.
Shy, cautious, conservative.
Okay.
Do you think Chris loves Shanann?
Oh God, he loved her. Yes, I believe he loved her at first.
Congruent.
I believe he did. But I think as the years went on, I think it just being in that kind of a relationship, which the social work.
A lot of tics going on too. And sometimes it can mean that we're lying or that we're just under stress.
Even said that marriage should have ended a long time ago.
Pout again. That's an unhappy face.
Pregnancy, and was what did Chris tell you about that? Was he excited?
No, I don't think he was. I think it was a shock to him. And he said that they have been talking about divorce. That they are not
Disgust and congruent.
compatible anymore, and he was not happy anymore. And I find
Now, if you notice, she said they're not compatible anymore. Her tongue came through like a little kid, like poking it at someone. Ha ha ha. And that's what she's doing in a subconscious way.
only thought he's finally seen the light.
And I take it Chris had never been in trouble with the law.
Never. He's got one speeding ticket and didn't even know about that.
Tell me
So what Mum's trying to say is Chris was the perfect lad.
what happened when they were reported missing. What did you find out? How did you find out? Who told you?
I think Ronnie called me. Ronnie called me and said that they're missing, and I thought, I don't believe it. I didn't believe they were missing. I believe that she was going to punish Chris.
I find this face quite interesting. So I'm trying to work it out. We've got sort of pursed up lips, but with a slight smile. It's not so droopy before. There's a slight smile coming in.
She was just going to punish him, take the girls, and just punish him. I had no idea of anything else.
Okay, so there is a slight smile with her, which is unusual. Now even he's noticing it. So his mouth is actually looking a little bit pursed. It's unhappy.
Christopher called and said, Mom, they're searching the house. I said, okay.
Okay, just like that. They're searching the house. Wouldn't you alarm bells be going on? So obviously she's on her boy's side no matter what. She even sees that.
That's fine. I mean, and I still was not worried. I
And there is an inappropriate laugh there. Considering the circumstances, she still wasn't worried. Disgust.
was not worried. I just thought Shanann had
Was not worried and she had disgust.
run off with girls.
Let's go back and have a look at that.
I was not worried. I just thought Shanann had run off with girls.
Slight smile and pout.
Unbelievable. And it's been unbelievable ever since. And
What did his attorneys tell you about contact with him? Starting with his
none.
arrest.
No contact. Everything is recorded. No contact. No letter writing. I didn't see the harm in the letters. Hi son, love you, keep fighting.
This is where I have an issue, and it's just personal here. Keep fighting. Keep fighting for what? If your son, at this point, she's already said, and you haven't seen it because I didn't put it in, but she said that her husband was in the room when Chris Watts confessed to killing Shanann for killing the two little girls, supposedly. Now, this woman is saying keep fighting at this point. Keep fighting for what? Maybe in her mind she believes her son that Shanann killed the two girls when in fact it was Chris Watts.
We are here to support you. What is wrong with that? What
So she's not really believing that. She's actually shaking her head and her shoulders are going up.
can the DA do about letters like this? Why couldn't we just write him a letter? We did what we were told to do.
Resentful.
When they called us to tell us that Chris was thinking of a plea, that he wanted to speak to us about it. And when we got down there, it was
Fear.
a lie. They wouldn't let us talk to him about anything. And then we had to talk to him through
We had contempt.
a screen and a phone. And he just looked, he was crying. I mean, he wasn't crying. You could see the movement in his mouth that when I talked about Bella and I talked about Cece and the memorial service that we had for them. And he asked what pictures did we use. And You know, what was the song? Just, you can see how he was trying to hold back tears.
Again, it's mum on her son's side.
What day was that? Do you remember?
Well, we flew in on that Monday.
So I believe there's cognitive dissonance going on with her, that she's still not really seeing the full picture at this point.
We flew in on Monday, and we saw him Monday night, and then the plea deal was on Tuesday.
So Monday night
Plea deal, she had 2 shoulders go up at different points, so she was very unhappy with that.
was when you wanted to talk to him about
Yes, and we weren't allowed. And it would have helped us so much to be able to talk to him. I wouldn't have to go through all this now.
She's talking about herself at the moment, which is bringing everything to her rather than the actual incident, which is Shanann and the kids being murdered.
I just don't like the way it was handled from the very beginning. I don't like the way it was handled. I want to save your life. That's all. We're just here. We're going to save his life.
Okay, so he could have been on death row. Which makes sense. Of course, parents would, if they cared about their kids, they would be saying, yes, I'm going to help save him and fight. So I guess that's where the fight comes in.
We want him to get life in prison. It was like they already knew he was guilty.
The only people at this point would probably believe he's not guilty would be her, the parents.
This was the end of it.
Were you worried about the death penalty being a possibility?
No, I didn't care about the death penalty. Nobody's going to die in Colorado.
Okay, so we've got a bit of a duping delight going on with this face. Nobody dies in Colorado, so she's quite happy because if he got the death penalty, he's unlikely to die. That's where that smile comes through.
I don't think anyone has, one person?
Again, it's sort of inappropriate the way that she's conducting her demeanour in regard to the death penalty of her son. She's saying, he's not going to get it, so it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Colorado is changing. So, people stay on death
There you go. Duping delight right there.
row forever.
People stay on death row forever, and she's happy about that, so that her son will live. And actually, she would be, because she's the mother.
There was I think he'd be safer on death row. And her
Yep, and then she moves back. She's still got a smile on her face.
parents said they didn't want any more death. So, I don't see how the death penalty could have mattered. All I want is the truth. I just want the truth.
Does she? Because she's shaking her head. She's moving her eyes, flitting here, there, and everywhere.
That's it. And I know Chris would take responsibility. And I guess
I know that Chris would take responsibility, and I guess. She's not being full on with her statement saying, and he would, not guess. Pursing lips. We've got the tongue coming through. It could mean that she is dry. It could mean that she's poking her tongue out at us, or that she's displeased.
maybe he is. I don't know. I just can't see him doing that.
What do you think the truth is about how Shanann and Bella and Celeste died?
Oh, God, I don't know anymore, honestly.
So, stress, eyelids fluttering.
I don't know his frame of mind, and I don't know his frame of mind. Because
Congruent.
why would you plead guilty to something you didn't do? And that's all I want to know.
How does she know he didn't do it? Just because he said it doesn't mean to say he didn't do it.
Why would you plead guilty if you didn't do it? If you told your dad you didn't do it? And that,
So she's in cognitive dissonance, so she's not quite making the connections, and that is probably deliberate in a subconscious and conscious way.
that's what I want to know. And they said, well, you'll find all that out. Christopher will talk to you when and after he's sentenced. Isn't that too late then? I mean, is it too late? What if he tells me, no, I didn't do it? I just took this plea deal because they told me I was going to go to jail anyways.
Has he?
I just want the truth. All of
I just want the truth, shaking the head.
us just want the truth. That's all. But I would like to know what triggered it. How can a normal young man, and he's normal. He was normal, but he wasn't evaluated when he came into the system.
It sounds congruent.
He wasn't normal if he did this.
Must be bewildering.
It's bewildering to me. It is. It is absolutely. How does this happen?
Makes sense.
How did this happen? And I go back in my mind thinking, was there something I didn't pick up with on Chris? But I can't think of anything except he was quiet.
It sounds like in your own mind,
Holding back.
you're unsure as to what happened.
Yes.
Congruent. Stressed.
Have you reconciled
Getting ready for the next question.
the idea that he could have done all of this?
Yes. And that scares me to death. Scares me to death to think that he could have done all of this. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there right now.
Yep, critical with the eyes there.
I don't see why he's pleading guilty.
See that tongue swipe? Now that means she's that's a really angry tongue swipe. I see this a lot, and every time I've seen it, it means a person's angry, really displeased with something. Makes sense.
I wouldn't. I'd fight. I'd fight to the end. But then you ask yourself, would a normal person dispose of the bodies the way he did? And I would have called 911 if it happened like that.
What would you say to Chris right now if he were sitting here?
If we were by ourselves,
Yeah.
I would say, Christopher, I need to know what happened that night. I need to know what happened. I've got to get these thoughts out of my head, what I think happened.
So she's shaking her head, which makes sense because she doesn't like them.
And I think in time he will tell me.
Probably nothing you ever would have imagined you would have faced.
Never.
So she's genuinely upset.
Never. No, and not from
As any mother would be.
the son that I raised and Ronnie raised and our children.
Okay, fear. Right here. Eyebrows going up in the middle. Contraction. It's absolute fear and sadness.
You know, we just did everything for them. We worked for them.
Maybe that could be the problem. They did everything for them and he didn't feel that he could run his own life in his own way. And he was attracted to people who like to control him, like his mother. Who knows? It's just psychology here.
And we wanted them to have a good life, good education. And we stressed education.
I hope you enjoyed this body language review of Cindy Watts. Now, I don't mean to slam this woman at all. I know that she's gone through a horrific deal, and that's horrible what she's had to go through, plus the actual parents of Shanann and the two girls. My heart goes out to you.